How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode here on Let's Build Twitter. As always, I'm Ethan, or Unknown Coder, your favorite underqualified senior software engineer. And as always, if you guys want access to a private repository, there's a link in the description down below that'll walk you through exactly how to get access to that. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into what we're working on today. Today, we're going to go ahead and continue working inside of our messages, specifically inside of our conversation area again. We're going to do a little bit of utility work, and then we're going to go ahead and start getting it so that messages start actually popping up by the end of the episode. This is going to be a little bit of a longer one just because there was no really good place to split this in half, and the code that I had before is a little bit short, so just go ahead and bear with me here. With that being said, let's go ahead and get a conversation created, hop into the code, and get to work here. So as I mentioned, we're going to be doing a little bit of like utility type work just to kind of clean things up, and then we're going to go ahead and work on getting the messages to render properly. So the first thing I had kind of left over from last episode that didn't quite fit is sometimes whenever you type into the message bar or create message bar in the text area, the message image or GIF kind of flickers a little bit because it's updating the state and then a little bit of wonky stuff's going on. So we need to go ahead and do something similar to our post area or create post, and that's going to be to go ahead and create a use memo. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is underneath our text area ref, let's go ahead and set up a couple things here. I'm going to go ahead and say const message image container is equal to use memo. We're going to go ahead and bring in use memo. We're going to go ahead and set up an arrow function. And then we're going to go ahead and watch for our message image to change. And since we're setting it to null and stuff, that should be fine. So we're going to go ahead and check if message image. So if we have a message image, we're going to go ahead and return. And I'm going to be lazy about this. I'm going to come down here to where our message image is for this specific guy. So let's see here. So message image. Let's go ahead and delete this, and we'll go ahead and deal with this in a second. But if we have a message image, we're going to go ahead and return this guy like we did before. So let's see where our use memo went. Here we go. Let's go ahead and paste that. So if we have a message image, we'll go ahead and have our message image container. And then same thing here. We're going to go ahead and say const message, and then this one will be GIF container is equal to use memo. And this is going to be very similar. We're going to go ahead and have our function here. This one's going to watch for message GIF to change. And then here, what we're going to do is going to come down here once again, down to our message GIF, and it's going to be broken. That's fine. We're going to fix it in a second. Let's go ahead and grab our message image for the GIF really quickly and delete it out of here. Let's go ahead and bring it to the top. Now we'll go ahead and say return. Actually, we're going to say if, and then message GIF, and then we're going to go ahead and return. Paste that guy in. There we go. There's that. We have these two message containers. Now what we need to go ahead and do is come down to the bottom again and set this up. So here we're going to go ahead and say message image container, and then here we'll say message GIF container. And now this should work exactly how it had before, except now whenever you are typing, it shouldn't cause any of those flickering issues. I don't know if we saw the flickering issues, but we can go ahead and hop into the front end and just make sure that it's looking good. So we have a conversation with Rick. We go ahead and add in like an image. Let's add this screenshot. And if we type in here, the image doesn't flicker. Before, sometimes it would flicker, sometimes it would update fast enough that it didn't flicker, but that's looking good. So the other thing that was kind of an issue is the scrolling action inside of this guy. It's not working exactly how you like, especially whenever you go ahead and add an image. I don't know if we'll be able to see it. So it's kind of hard to see right now, but there are some updates that whenever they're actually more stuff in here, whenever there's messages in here, it wasn't quite working right. So I want to go ahead and fix that now. So let's hop back into the code and get to work. The first thing we need to do is we need to come in here to our create message bar CSS, and we need to go ahead and get rid of the position sticky and bottom 0. We're going to go ahead and just force it on the bottom with a flex and position between, basically. So this is what we need to do here. And now we're going to go ahead and make a few like cascading changes throughout the application to go ahead and get everything to scroll like it's supposed to. So now we're going to go ahead and hop into our messages pop-up component, and there's going to be a very high chance that I screw something up and things don't quite work properly, just because it's a little bit complicated how this is working. But we're going to go ahead and get rid of the style from this messages pop-up component. We're going to go ahead and move this down. We're going to go ahead and move this to this messages pop-up here. So I'm going to go ahead and say style is equal to height. That's good to go. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and wrap this message state pop-up curly braces here in a new div with the class name equal to messages pop up, and then content dash container. We need to go ahead and wrap this whole guy. So let's go ahead and delete this, bring this down here. And then there's going to be like one more thing that we need to do even after this, I believe. Go ahead and do that and save. And then we even need to go ahead, I think, and move this message state, but maybe we don't because I don't actually see it in my code. So if things don't quite work right, then we know that I need to move more stuff. But that's the thing that's tricky about this episode is we're moving a lot of stuff around and just adding small things here and there to just modify the CSS look. So there's really high chances of screwing stuff up. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop back into the CSS for this and do some CSS changes to make sure things are working good. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is going to come down to about line 20. So in this messages pop-up, we're going to go ahead and add a display of flex. And we're going to go ahead and say flex dash direction is going to be column. And then we're going to go and create a messages pop-up container. So dot messages dash pop-up dash content dash container. So this is that new div we just created. Here we're going to have a max dash height. So we don't want it to go over 373 px. We're going to have a height of fit dash content, and we're going to have an overflow of hidden, like so. And then inside of our messages pop-up content, we're just going to have a width 100% and we're going to have a height 100%. So right now things are probably going to be really funky, but there's still like one more change or maybe a couple more changes to go ahead and get this to be completely done. So next we want to go ahead and hop into our conversation controller. We're going to go ahead and set it up so that it scrolls down to the bottom of the screen where the newest message is. And then we're going to go ahead and finish the CSS and fingers crossed everything's working. So let's hop into the conversation container. So inside the conversation container, we need to go ahead and set up a ref to be able to know where we need to scroll to. So I'm going to go ahead and say const and then scroll ref is equal to use ref, and this is going to be on HTML and then div element like so, and we're going to go ahead and pass a null. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is inside the use effect, let's go ahead and come down here and say use effect, and we're going to go ahead and pass in the messages.length. So anytime the messages change, we want to go ahead and scroll down. And I think we need to bring in messages. Let's see. Yes, we do. I just straight up forgot it. So let's go ahead and come up here underneath logged in and go ahead and say const messages. Can't type messages is equal to use selector. And then we'll have states, root states. And here we'll say states.message.conversation question mark dot conversation message. So if we have messages, we're going to go ahead and basically read them. And I don't know what's wrong with the scroll ref. Did we not get use ref pulled in? There we go. So if the messages.length changes, and did I spell messages wrong? I'm wondering. It looks fine here. Oh, I have an extra S. There we go. All right. So if the messages.length changes, we're going to go ahead and say if our scroll ref and our scroll ref.current. So as long as it's all defined and everything, we're going to say scroll ref.current dot and then scroll top is equal to our scroll ref.current dot scroll height. So this is something I stole off of Stack Overflow, but it seems to work because what I was trying wasn't working. But then what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to come down here to this guy and we're going to go ahead and add our ref equal to scroll ref. And we're going to also go ahead and add another div down here that's going to go ahead and have a div with a ref equal to scroll ref. And then I also put a class name on this that I don't know what it is. So I need to go ahead and find it. But that should go ahead and scroll it for us. I need to go ahead and check GitHub to see what this class name is because I wrote some of this code at one point and then came back and did some more work on it. So let me go ahead and check what this is actually called. So we're going to go ahead and call this conversation-container-bottom. And that means that whenever we do the CSS, I probably forgot about it too. So let me go ahead and just take a look at the CSS once again. So let's hop into the conversation container CSS. So here, we're going to go ahead and make some changes. So conversation container, we're going to have height of 100%. And we're going to have overflow y. So overflow dash y is going to be scroll. So now we're going to move the scroll to here. We're going to have our dot conversation dash messages. This is something that's going to come up a little bit later on, but I think I forgot to put it in. Padding dash top will be 8px. Don't worry, we'll add that in a second. And then conversation dash container dash bottom. And here we're going to have our width of 100%. We're going to go ahead and have a height of about 8px. Now the chances of this not working are very high because you had to put stuff in the exact right positions. So I want to go ahead and I guess just test this out and see if it's working and looking okay. Otherwise, I'm going to do a really deep dive into the code on GitHub and then kind of figure out where the heck I messed up and be back with y'all. So let's hop to the front end, and I definitely broke something because it's not loading anymore. Let's go ahead and what did I break? Console messages. Let's see. Function components cannot have string refs. We recommend using use ref. Okay, I messed something up inside of, where is this at? Scroll ref. Okay, so let me double check scroll ref. I think I maybe forgot to put the HTML div element or something on it. Oh, it's because I messed this part up. So ref should go ahead and be inside curly braces. Okay, if that's all that's wrong, then that's a pretty simple fix. Let's go ahead and try again. Okay, this is what I was concerned about. Something isn't quite right here. So let me go ahead and double check all my code and make sure I put everything in the right positions, and then I'll be right back with y'all. Looks like our message content pop-up container is misspelled. So let's go ahead and try to fix that. I don't know if that's going to fix it, but maybe it will. So here inside of this guy, this should be messages with an S. Fingers crossed that's actually all it is. It seems like for some reason in my code, it's missing a justify content space between. And let's go ahead and save and just double check this. I'm going to do a little bit of more digging in between episodes here because it's taking a little bit of time, more time than I have to go ahead and record. But I'm pretty sure this was fixing it. So you can kind of see, but now we have the issue where this guy isn't all the way. So let's go ahead and just see what's going on with this. Now there's a gap in here. So our conversation content container is supposed to be max height at 373. It's only sitting at like 298. So it's acting a little bit strange here. I don't know what the deal is. And of course, our message conversation container is taking up 100% of the height. So it's just the same exact height, 298. So there's something weird going on with my code. I missed something somewhere and I'm not sure what it is or where it's at. I need to go through and just go through all of the code with a fine-tooth comb. But for the time being, we're going to go ahead and continue because I don't want to get held up on this. I want to get this episode finished. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and continue working on getting messages working. So before we get messages fully working, we need to go ahead and hop back into the code, go to our global interfaces and make a small change. So we need to go down into our create message user and go ahead and add in an image. So let's come down here. So inside of our create message user, we want to go ahead and add a profile picture. So profile picture, and this is going to be an image info or null. And now this is going to go ahead and break inside of our create message bar. So let's hop back in there. So now inside of our create message bar, we need to go ahead and add this. So we're going to go ahead and start at the top here. So sent by, we need to go ahead and add this. So we're going to go ahead and say profile picture is logged in dot profile picture. When you come down to this conversations user, we'll go ahead and say profile picture is user.profile picture, and then we need to come down here to this last one and go ahead and say profile picture is equal to message.sentBy.profile picture. We save that, then hopefully there's no fussing with this. It's just gonna work. Cool. And now we need to go ahead and set up a couple of date utils to make it so that we can format when the messages were sent, because it shows when it was sent and when it was read and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and hop into our date utils. Inside of our date utils, the first thing I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go ahead and say export const and the weekday equal to, and we're going to go ahead and have all the weekdays. So Sunday, and Monday, we'll have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Like so. We're gonna need this in a second, and we're gonna come down here below our get years. We're gonna go ahead and say export const get day of week, like so. We're gonna go ahead and pass in a date, And we're going to go ahead and do one of these. So here we're going to go ahead and return week day and then pass in our date. Whoops. Date.getDay. If I could type, that'd be cool. And go ahead and return whatever day of the week it was whenever this was created. This is because if it's less than a week old, the message will show like Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever day it was sent that week. And then we're going to come down here and we're going to set up a couple more checks to see like how old it is basically. Again, I probably could have done this a lot better, but I'm just going to go ahead and actually cheat a little bit and copy this guy and paste it here. So this is going to be less than day. So let's go ahead and say less than day. Here we're going to go ahead and get rid of the math.round because we don't want to round up, because when it rounds up it'll always be greater than 1, and then this is going to go ahead and be less than 1. So if this one is less than 1, and then we're going to go ahead and add in another one, this one is going to be less than week, so less than week. Same thing here, that's going to be less than 7. There we go. It probably could be less than or equal to 7, but I don't really care. It's going to be, that's the way it's going to be. That's going to be all the functions we need to create our message container, which is going to hold our message and all the information about the messages. So let's go ahead and hop into our Explorer here. Let's go into our components for messaging. We're going to go ahead and say message container slash message, container.tsx. We're going to go ahead and say message container.css, and let's hop into the TSX, import React from React, and then also import our // and then message container.css. This is a somewhat simple component here. It's going to get more complicated as we add more and more features to the message. Let's go ahead and export const message container, and then this will be a React .fc, and this is going to take in a message. Let me make sure I do this right. A message of type message. Let's see if I can find the correct interface. There we go. And it's also going to go ahead and take in a show sent, which is a Boolean. And this is just going to basically determine whether or not it's the last message, because the last message is the only one that shows sent. And then we'll go ahead and say message, show sent. There we go. We'll go ahead and say const logged in is equal to use selector, and then go ahead and say state root states, and we'll go ahead and pass in state.user.logged in. We'll also go ahead and have const conversation is equal to use selector, and we'll say state root state, and we'll go ahead and say state.message conversation. I don't remember exactly what we need conversation for, but we'll see. We'll go ahead and say const users message. So we're going to go ahead and determine if it is the user that's logged in's message. Go ahead and return, and then sent by, actually we want message.sentBy.user ID is equal to logged in !user ID. So we'll determine if the user sent the message or not. We're gonna have another function called sentapp, but we'll deal with that in a little bit. Let's go ahead and just get our return set up. Return div class name equal to message-container. Inside our message container, we'll have a div with a class name equal to, and this is actually going to be backticked, so message-content-group. And then we're going to go ahead and have $ curly brace users message question mark. If it's a user's message, we're going to say write dash messages. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and say left dash messages, like so. Go ahead and open that guy up. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is curly brace. We're going to say users message. And then we're going to go ahead and call this question mark. So here we'll have a div class name equal to message dash subtitle. And I feel like I'm missing something, but maybe I'm not. Subtitle dash right. And then inside of here, we're going to have a div, the class name equal to message and message dash blue. Inside our message dash blue, we're going to have our message dot message text. And then outside of this message text, we're going to have a div, the class name equal to message dash sub title. And this might need to be subtitle group or something, but it is what it is. We're gonna go ahead and do this. And then we have some logic to put in here, but we'll deal with that logic in a little bit. Then we'll go ahead and say otherwise. We'll have a div, and this is just gonna be a div wrapped in here. And it seems like I screwed something up. Users messages. I don't know what the deal is. It's mad about message. So it's because I forgot to wrap this inside of quotes, so that fixes that part. Now here, I don't know what this problem is. This guy is fine. It's wrapped inside of curly braces, and it's wrapped inside of a div. I don't know what the problem is with this guy. I haven't had this much issue recording an episode in a long time. This week has been cursed for some reason. And then here we'll have a div, the class name equal to, and then gray dash message group. We probably could have called the other one blue message group or something, but it is what it is. We're gonna have a profile picture. The user is going to equal to message.sent by. This only shows up if someone else sent it, and size is going to equal to 40px, like so. And then below this profile picture, we're gonna have a div. I don't know why this is wrapped twice, but maybe it's important. We'll have a div class name equal to message and message dash gray. And then in here we'll have message dot message text, like so. And then outside of here we'll have a div, the class name equal to message dash sub title and message dash sub title dash left. And I'm sure this is going to be screwed up too. Message dot sent by dot nickname, and this is going to have a circle icon, so go ahead and bring in circle from Material UI. SX equal to font size will be, and we're going to do about 4px. This might still be slightly big, but it is what it is. Color will be pound 657786, and then we need to go ahead and deal with our syntax, and message is being dumb again. Okay, there we go. So now we need to set up a function to determine when the message was sent at. So let's go ahead, and it's probably going to go wrong as well since everything's basically gone wrong this episode. We're going to say const sent at equal to, and inside we're going to go ahead and say const sent at date is equal to new date, and we're going to go ahead and pass it message.sent at. Since for whatever reason it can't handle the Java date, const time is going to be equal to stringify and then time. I'm going to go ahead and pass in that sent maybe at date, like so. And we're going to go ahead and check if less than day. So if it's less than a day, we're going to go ahead and send a send at date and a new date. We probably could have went ahead and made a date called like today or something, but it is what it is. And then in here, we're going to return the time. So if it was just sent today, it's just going to go ahead and show the time. And I think that sent at might be spelled wrong inside of our conversation message. So we're going to go back and fix that, but we'll deal with it in a second. Else if we're going to go ahead and say less than a week. If it's less than a week, we'll send at date and then a new date. So if it's less than a week, we're going to go ahead and say const day is equal to get day of week, and then go ahead and send in that sent at date, like that. And then otherwise, we're going to go ahead and return backticks $ curly brace. We're going to go ahead and have the day and space $ curly brace time. And then otherwise, we're going to go ahead and say const full date. I don't know why I set it up like this. Will be stringify date. And then here, we're going to go ahead and pass in month is sent at date dot get month. Go ahead and say that the day is sent at date dot get date. And then finally, we'll say that the year is sent at date dot get year. And then we'll have our full date. Then we can go ahead and return backticks $ curly brace, and then full date, comma, and then $ curly brace time. And this should be get full year, like so. And I think that the message that sent at is mad because we typoed. So let's go ahead and check our global interfaces. When we go into our actual message, see, it says seen at. We want this to be sent at, and this is going to go ahead and break inside of our create message bar. So let's go ahead and fix that, I believe. I think it's there, but let me just double check. I guess it actually doesn't break anywhere. So that's kind of cool, I guess. Let's hop back into the code and finish this up. So now we have our sent at. It seems like everything's fine. Let's come down to where our subtitle is. So we'll go ahead and put in sent at. Then we're going to go ahead and say show sent, or our message.seen by.length is not equal to 0. So if any one of those, we'll go ahead and show a circle icon. So and then we'll have our circle. And here, once again, we'll have SX equal to font size of 4px and color of pound 657786, like so, like that. So if we need to either show the sent by or we have been seen, we'll go ahead and show that. We'll go ahead and say show sent, and then we'll go ahead and just have sent, like so, no big deal. And then we're also going to have conversation and conversation users length is greater than 2. And then we're going to say and message.seen by length is greater than 0. So if there's multiple people in the conversation, so it's like a group convo and it's been seen by more than one people, then we're going to go ahead and say seen by $ curly brace message.get not get dot seen by, and then dot length, and then it's going to say person. If it's more than one, it should probably be people, but it is what it is. So what's going on here? I think I just spelled conversation wrong. Conversation and conversation users. There we go. And then we also need to come down here and add in the sent by as well, or not sent by, sent at, like that. There we go. So now we have to style this bad boy and then get it set up, and then it's still probably going to break because of my luck today. So let's just make sure that the CSS is imported. It is. Okay, let's go ahead and hop into the MessageContainer CSS. So we'll start with dot message-container. Inside our message container, we'll have a width 100%. We'll have a height of fit-content. We'll have a dot message-content-group. I don't remember setting this up, so now I'm a little bit concerned. Width will also be 100%. Whoops, 100%. And here we're going to have a display of flex. We'll have dot left dash messages. And here we're going to say flex dash direction will be row. We'll have right dash messages. And for right message, we'll have flex dash direction of row dash reverse. We'll have a dot gray dash message dash group. Here we'll have display of flex. We'll have justify content flex start, and we'll have align items flex maybe dash end, and we'll have a small gap of 8px. We'll say dot message. So here we'll have a padding of 12px, 16px. We're gonna have a width of fit dash content. We'll have a max dash width of about 223px. We're going to have a height of fit dash content. We're going to have a word dash wrap. And we're going to go ahead and break words so it doesn't overflow or anything. Of a font dash maybe size of 15px. We'll have a font dash weight of 500. And we'll have a color of just white. Then we'll have our message gray. So dot message dash gray. And this part's a little bit annoying, but what can you do? We're going to background dash color. This is going to be pound 657786, our dark gray. Border none. And then we have to individually set each border. So border dash top dash left dash radius is going to be 22px. I have a border dash top dash right dash radius of 22 px. We're going to have a border dash bottom dash right dash radius of 22 px. And we're going to have a border dash bottom, maybe dash left radius of about 4 px. So now what we go ahead and do is we can take this message gray and copy it. And let's go ahead and paste it here. Go ahead and say message blue. And then what we need to go ahead and do is now, instead of the bottom left radius being 22, it's going to be 4. So let's go ahead and say this is 4, that's 22, that's good to go. That'll go ahead and set up like our message box. And then let's say dot message dash subtitle. And in here we'll have display flex, justify content, and the flex start. We'll go ahead and align items in the center. We'll have a small gap of about 4 px. We'll have a font dash size of about 13 px, a color of pound 657786, and then a font dash weight of 400. We have a dot message dash subtitle, and then dash left. Here we need to make sure everything is kind of left aligned or kind of pushed over to the left a little bit. So margin left to be 48 px. And we're also going to go ahead and have a message dash subtitle dash right, assuming that I set all this up properly. This will be display flex direction, flex dash direction will be column. And here we're going to have align items and the flex dash end. So that's the CSS. Again, today has not been going very well, so there's probably a good chance that I probably broke literally everything and none of this is working, so that's gonna be fun. So now let's go ahead and hop into our conversation container and actually add this. So inside of our conversation container, instead of like sending all these messages and whatnot, we're gonna go ahead and get rid of this return here. We're gonna go ahead and say const, and we need to actually add in something here. So I'm gonna say message comma idx. We're going to pass the index here. So const show sent is equal to idx equal to conversation message length -1. We only want to show sent if it's our message and it is the last one. So then we'll return our message container, and then message is equal to message, and then show sent, if I could type, is equal to show sent. So in theory, this should kind of wrap everything up because we did already fix up the conversation container CSS to deal with the new message stuff. Although I think we actually wrapped this inside a div, the class name equal to conversation dash messages. And maybe this is the reason why it wasn't working, because we added that CSS, but we didn't actually have this. I can only hope. That's like hopium. But let's go ahead and just see what this is looking like, I guess. I don't think so, because this is just adding a padding top. But let's just see if this is looking okay or if this is busted. So again, it's going to look very similar to before, where this is a little bit scuffed. What I'm going to go ahead and do is, before I end the episode, I'm going to go through and I'm going to figure out what the heck's going on, record it later on, and add it in later. So if we go in here, and this is broken out, so that's the problem with adding the flex direction space between, I'm assuming. So let's go back into our messages pop-up. We're gonna go ahead and get rid of the space between. I'm assuming that's what's causing that. Yep, if we click on this, things look a little bit weird. We can go ahead and try testing, sending a message and send it. Okay, so this didn't quite work. We might have seems like we have the logic backwards, but we put the wrong thing on the wrong one. Let me go ahead and send the messages really quick. Okay, so I messed up something. Let me double check my code here. And this is missing Rick's name somehow as well, so we need to add that. So I forgot to add in Rick's name here, although it has message.sent by nickname. Interesting. I don't know why Rick's nickname isn't showing up there, unless I need to modify sent by, but I should have had Rick's name. Let me refresh. Okay, so that is, it seems like a data issue sending stuff. So here, let's see what's going on with this guy. We have message blue. User's message is message blue spelled improperly. Let's double check that. We have message blue, message gray, message. Something isn't quite adding up here. So I just forgot to change the color here, like an absolute nonce. Let's go ahead and change the color. So we'll go ahead and say 1D, A1, and then F2. Then let's go ahead and take a look again. There we go. And the problem with this one was that whenever I sent it from Postman, it didn't have all the user's information like it needed. So that won't be an issue whenever we're sending it from here. In between here, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Before I actually quote unquote wrap it up, you guys will go ahead and see future Ethan, and I'll show you exactly what's going on with this guy. Although you can see that it's working now. So I think we need to figure out in between where this is like at least a certain height. So like, let's see here. We might be able to actually fix this beforehand. So we need this to be at least like, I don't know how high that is. Let's add some CSS to this little area here. I don't even know what this is called, but let me hop into the code and take a look. So this is going to be inside of our conversation container. So here we have our conversation messages. Maybe we add a min width to our conversation messages. Let me go ahead and basically reset our messages really quick, and let's do a quick test. So I'm wondering if we add this little area right here. So we have the conversation messages, which is really small. Let's go ahead and add a minimum width or minimum height, I mean, of like 100 pixels or something until we get it to look about right, and then it should just scroll fine. So let's go ahead and try that. Let's hop back into the code and wrap up this absolute disaster of an episode. Let's hop into the CSS, and we're looking for conversation messages. Okay, so our conversation messages, let's just go ahead and add a min dash height, maybe. And let's just go ahead and say like 100 pixels and see what that looks like. And then otherwise, we'll just go ahead and fit dash content like so. And whoops, that should be height, maybe. Height colon fit content, save that. Okay, so let's just go ahead and see. This is probably going to be too much, but I'll just tweak this until it looks good. So that is just a little bit too big, as you can see. All right, so it seems like I found the right combination. We want to go ahead and put in as 74, and then that'll go ahead and spread it out. And then as we start getting more and more content in there, it'll get a little bit bigger and bigger, and it won't matter. So I know this episode has been a complete disaster, everyone. But if you did enjoy, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Everything helps out here with the YouTube algorithm. And if you do want to see where we started from absolute scratch to get to the point we are now, there is a playlist linked in the end card that you'll see right now. So as always, guys, this has been Ethan and Coder. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you guys in the next video.